good, everybody? It's your boy Todd here, yet once again with another episode of the No Gimmicks podcast, alongside my tag team partner Dale Clifford out there in Fernley, Nevada. So Dale, I think it actually took me longer to do the introduction for this program this evening than the main event of the Survivor Series between Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg. What do you have to say about that?
Pretty close. I was coming in at about 25 seconds for the intro. So that's got to be pretty close. We had all of four moves in that main event. A double leg attempt to take down into the corner, two spears, and a jackhammer. And that was it. That was the main event.
It's just baffling to me. After all the months of hype and, building this thing up the way they did between these two mega stars, fantasy warfare, gets real and all that, and the match literally lasts about a minute. So, since I hardly even had enough time to take any notes on the match, I don't think you did either. Do we even have possibly a good, a bad, and the ugly for this match? I mean, what's your thoughts? What could be the only good that could come out of this deal?
I guess the good is that we got to see Lesnar and Goldberg again for those, I guess, that wanted it. It's so weird to me that there was a huge draw for this because the two were booed out of the building at WrestleMania.
Yes, very much so.
But apparently Goldberg, I guess the good was that he got such a good reaction on his return that maybe WWE flipped course, because I just did not see at all how Goldberg was going to win this thing. Because I feel like part of my ugly here, obviously we can mention what a bad was from this thing, but the ugly is just that you're talking about Brock Lesnar is the man that ended the Undertaker streak.
Yes.
Has just been reigning dominance over the WWE roster since that point. And Goldberg comes in, and 3 moves later, it's a squash at Survivor Series. What the heck does that do for the rest of the entire roster in WWE?
I don't know. And like I said, I have to ask the question, where does Brock Lesnar go from here? This guy, I am just shocked that he even agreed to basically get squashed by Bill Goldberg, who hasn't been in a WWE ring. How long was it? Was it 12 years or 13 years?
Yeah, they were saying 12, yeah.
I mean, it's just so many questions to be answered here. I was just in sheer and utter shock. Like I said, I told you that I needed at least about, enough time to go hit the restroom before we recorded. That lasted longer than this match.
I had to make sure my contacts didn't fall out, and I saw what I saw on the TV screen.
Yeah. I was just in absolute shock. So, yeah, there's definitely some, some, I don't know. I have some, questions and whatnot, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just like, tomorrow night, they're going to be going live there from the Air Canada Center. It's just like, how do they follow up on this? What does Paul Heyman come out and say? Brock could never, ever be referred to as the Beast Incarnate again after that, because he just got laid out.
All I know is that I had sent out the tweet saying Lesnar and Goldberg couldn't live up to the hype, nor could they follow that elimination match. But I really wasn't expecting them to just drop everything and throw out a 30-second match either.
Yeah, unbelievable. So now that you mention that, let's move on to the match of the evening, in a match that lasted about an hour in length. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown for brand supremacy basically wound up being an Iron Man elimination match. This match was out of control. I mean, it literally had some of everything. One of the good things I could say about this is the outcome. We were all afraid that this was going to wind up being a return of Super Reigns, as you like to call him, Dale. But Team SmackDown Live wins this match with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton as the survivors. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely love that. And Bray Wyatt has now racked up 2 pay-per-view wins in a row. So hopefully it's an upward trend for him instead of the backwards trend. It always seemed like he was a guy that just wasn't getting the wins on pay-per-views. And definitely love that we didn't end up getting the Super Reigns as the sole survivor, because for whatever it is, just no one will buy into him. People were ready to buy into Goldberg after 12 years, and they refused to buy into Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it just goes to show you just cannot shove a certain person who you want to create into a superstar down the fans' throats, they will turn against them. This match was action-packed. I mean, we saw a little bit of everything. We saw, some insane action that took place outside the ring, including James Ellsworth getting launched off the stage by Braun Strowman. He literally slam dunked him through those tables, a la Vince Carter circa 2000 at the Air Canada Center when he played for the Toronto Raptors. That was just insane. And
you know what?
Go for it.
I will just say this is like James Ellsworth is getting his 15 minutes of fame to the max.
15. It's turning to 30 at this point. I mean, he basically was the reason why a 6'8", 375-pound monster got eliminated from the match. So I'm going to go ahead and make my segue here. This is the bad of this match. There was no clear-cut definition of the rules. Never do I ever remember them stating this match was no disqualification or anything like that. We saw constant interference. Luke Harper appeared during the match.
But we had a disqualification of Kevin Owens.
Exactly. So, yeah, we had Dean Ambrose, who literally had been eliminated from the match, return. We had James Ellsworth get involved. We have, all these things going on, and Kevin Owens lays someone out with the list, and that's enough to get him DQ'd. So, yeah, I mean, there was no clear-cut definition of rules. That's about the only thing that I could really say that was bad about this. I don't know. Is there anything else you have to add on this topic, Dale?
No, I just was like, we have the Shield put AJ Styles through a table. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are allowed to continue. We have Shane McMahon deliver an elbow to Braun Strowman. He's allowed to continue.
Yes.
And as you said, Kevin Owens uses the list and he gets disqualified. It's like, I guess because it wasn't an actual official thing in the arena.
Yes.
Because announce tables are a thing.
Wait, so had the list been laying on the announce table, it would have been okay for him to use, right?
I don't know. It's like it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Except for maybe to lead us into the direction that Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho are headed towards a split now because he destroyed the list.
I'm thinking so. Yeah, I'm thinking so. Of all the things to tear two guys apart in the WWE, a list attached to a clipboard. I could say I'll give him an A for originality. Let's get to the ugly here. Shane McMahon. This guy, I've got to give him credit. He has got heart, and he has got a set of grapefruits on him, larger than his dad, Vince McMahon. That's what he used to always brag about. This guy literally almost died twice over the course of this match. Once at the hands of Braun Strowman, who launched him out of the ring and almost threw him over the border back to the United States of America. And second time, boy, that spear that he took from Roman Reigns off of that Van Terminator, that just looked so ugly. And I don't know what exactly happened to Shane. I don't know if he got the wind knocked out of him or if he got a concussion from the head, hitting the mat as hard as it did. But he looked like he was in La La Land. Dale, what do you have to say about this?
Very, very ugly moments in this one, as you pointed out. We had Braun Strowman flipping AJ Styles almost on his head. Definitely flinging Shane McMahon around. Then Shane had the misadventures with Chris Jericho, where he blocks Jericho's top rope move and then kind of looked like he was hesitant for the roll-up. And then we have two code breakers that he kicks out of. And then obviously he taking the spear from Reigns and then kind of rolling the shoulder. But it almost didn't even look like he even knew what he was doing when he kind of just kicked the shoulder up, because that looked like he was supposed to get eliminated there. But the ref did his job and didn't count the 3 because the shoulder was up.
Yes, so let me correct myself real quick here. Actually, yeah, you were correct, Dale. It was Braun who launched AJ. It was AJ who got thrown over the top rope onto the floor, not Shane. But I think at some point in time, I think Braun Strowman did pretty much get his hands on just about everybody and lay just about everybody out in that match, with the exception of a few of his teammates. So, yeah, so Team SmackDown reigns supreme here. I can honestly say that turned out to be a little bit of a surprise for me. I had expected Raw to go over here. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where they build upon this. We got the impromptu Shield reunion, with all 3 members. That was kind of cool, because it's been about 4 years since they actually made their debut at Survivor Series.
Yeah, I was very surprised that Randy Orton stuck himself out there for the spear to help
yeah, me too.
Bray get the win, because I really was feeling like Randy was kind of setting up the Wyatt family, but maybe this one looks like he might actually be a new member here, a legit member, and not just pull a Daniel Bryan stunt from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be short-lived, but no, it's looking like this is going to be something a bit more official with him as a staple of the Wyatts. And I actually kind of like the idea of him being there with Luke and Bray, because Eric Rowan, a.k.a. Groundskeeper Willie, I just don't see that guy really just ever catching on in the WWE. I mean, he is huge, but he is just not, very fun to watch in the ring. So we're going to move on here to the Cruiserweight title match featuring Brian Kendrick and Kalisto. So this match, the crowd was dead for this one. No matter what these guys did, especially Kalisto, it seemed like the crowd just was pretty much sitting on their hands, and I think some of their, the energy had just been sucked out of them at that point in time after that tag team match. But anyhow, there were some good high-risk moves delivered by both competitors pretty flawlessly as well. That Spanish fly to the outside delivered by Kalisto, that was sick. I've never seen a Spanish fly delivered like that from the apron. Also, the headlock takeover by Brian Kendrick and the transition to the bully choke, that was pretty sweet as well. What else do you have to add to that, Dale?
No, I think those were pretty much the highlights that I took from this one. Definitely the big moment was watching that Spanish fly from the apron to the floor. I thought that was very nice and different to see. Kind of one of those, though, that you could kind of fall into the ugly at times just because it was to the floor, but it was a nice, crisp move and one of the bigger spots of the match that we kind of put it into the good.
Yeah, it was definitely smooth. It could have been one of the uglies, but the bad of this match definitely had to have been the finish. This was the biggest BS finish that they could have possibly came up here. Of all things, they had Baron Corbin interfere and basically cause Kalisto to match, because Kalisto and him have kind of been going back and forth for the past couple of months, and Kalisto had actually gotten the better of him the last time that they met up. So what do you have to add to this, Dale?
I get it, sort of, because they're Baron Corbin's the lone wolf, so he just operates by himself. He's the guy that doesn't care about the interests of SmackDown. But really, this match had so much more importance to it than just continuing a feud between Kalisto and Baron Corbin. To me,
elaborate on that a bit.
I was like, we have control of the cruiserweights on the line, and you have a big old heavyweight come in, and he's the guy that decides the fate of the cruiserweights. So I don't really get it. But besides the fact that he does have the feud with Kalisto, which obviously is going to keep going, but
because WWE has this new show that they're going to be starting here pretty soon, called 205 Live. And I remember you had said about maybe like a week or so ago that you had thought that the cruiserweights were going to possibly move over there to the SmackDown brand, because the show is actually supposed to be live on Tuesday night, so it would make more sense for them to be over there on SmackDown. But then that didn't happen. It's kind of curious, if they're going to maybe look at splitting the cruiserweights between Raw and SmackDown possibly, or, we were joking before the show that the show might not actually be live, it might actually be tape delayed, but that the title 205 Live sounds a lot cooler than, 205 tape delayed. So, yeah, we'll just have to see where they go with that. But the ugly of this match definitely had to have been Kalisto suffering that whiplash after getting schoolboyed into the turnbuckle by Brian Kendrick. The way his neck snapped, I'm glad that guy is okay and that he didn't suffer any sort of damage. Did you get the chance to go back and check that one out, Dale?
No, I remember you bringing that one up. I think that was kind of like right at the beginning when I hadn't quite settled into the match yet. So
it was it wasn't pretty looking there. So I'm just glad that if nothing else, he at least walked away with his health intact, if not having the cruiserweight strap on his shoulder there. So yeah, the match that was prior to this was probably easily the second best match of the evening. We had the Team Raw versus Team SmackDown men's tag match. This one here, filled with highlights. I mean, some pretty cool stuff too. American Alpha actually hit the Steiner's finisher. The Shining Stars actually shine in this match. Actually, some good opportunities for them to get in there and kind of get some spots in.
They're good workers. Just the crowd doesn't like them.
Silly gimmicks. Give these guys something decent to work with. Don't make them bullfighters. Don't make them, guys from Puerto Rico who are trying to sell you their timeshares or whatever. Let these guys be who they are. They are a legacy just like any other legacy in family in the pro wrestling business. Their their relative Carlos Colon, that guy is a legend down there in Puerto Rico. For what he's done with the World Wrestling Council down there. So just give those guys a gimmick to work with. I think they would be just fine. Gable hit a sick rolling German suplex.
That was so awesome.
It was smooth.
To do the roll up into and then finish it off with the German to a Cesaro was just absolutely phenomenal. Definitely thought that's awesome. Probably the move of the match. Probably the move of the night. Just in terms of no weapons, no tables, none of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just in a pure wrestling sense of moves, that one was just so clean.
I haven't seen someone hit a nice rolling German suplex like that since anarchist Doug Williams. This is Doug Williams prior to joining TNA and becoming a part of that British stable that he was a part of. Yeah, he used to hit that move earlier on in his career. There were multiple dives to the outside. The Usos even hosted their own impromptu version of a super kick party. So this match was filled with action. But let's get to the bad here. And there were two teams that were eliminated extremely early on in this match. To no one's surprise, one of them wound up being the Fashion Police, a.k.a. Breezango. And to everyone's surprise, I know Miss Emily Brown, if you're listening to this broadcast, who I just recently did the Bootios taste test with, I know she can't be pleased with the fact that the New Day got booted way early on in the match. What's your takeaway from that, Dale?
Yeah, definitely not surprised about Breezango, but you're talking about the tag team champions have the second longest reign in the history of the WWE, and they're eliminated on essentially the second move of the match, which was a double super kick to Kofi from the Usos.
Yeah. What was up with that?
And they're done. And you're talking about within two moves, you have two tag teams eliminated. I just thought that, especially considering that I was just looking at the clock, and I'm like, man, how are they going to fill the time that we have left?
I remember you saying that
in the broadcast when you have two tag teams get eliminated in two moves. Obviously, everything else shook itself out, and we got to where we did, especially because the men's match went so long. But yeah, I just felt like, man, this match is going to eliminate two people or two teams within two moves. Basically, faster. They had two tag teams get eliminated faster than Lesnar lost to Goldberg.
Nice, Dale. Nice to bring it all full circle. Yeah, I remember that conversation too. And it's going to be interesting because I'm calling it right now. I believe the New Day, they actually have to face off against Cesaro and Sheamus for the tag titles tomorrow night, don't they, on Raw?
Yes, they do. You know what? I still believe New Day is going to win. I think this was all a setup to make the New Day look bad and get Cesaro and Sheamus like a credible opponent heading into tomorrow night. I still really feel like WWE wants to get New Day to that record. But you know what? If Cesaro and Sheamus win tomorrow on Monday Night Raw, so be it. And I absolutely will enjoy the fact that New Day aren't the tag team champions anymore.
I would be perfectly okay with that as well. New Day, your cereal might be good, but yes, you are booty. Anyhow, let's get to the ugly of this match. Now, Mojo Rawley delivered this silly-looking dance prior to rushing into the corner to attack his opponent. I can't quite remember who it was. But this dance that he did, it looked like a cross between that dance from the 80s called the Pee Wee Herman. Do you remember that dance at all? That Pee Wee Herman used to do, where he put his hands in front and like he kind of clasped them together and then he put them behind his back. It looked like a cross between
a little bit.
in a traditional Russian dance, like the one where they kind of like kick their legs out and they kind of squat down low. It was the silliest looking thing.
We have seen him do this various times before, and it is just so it's out there. It's definitely he fits the thing that it is, whatever you want to call it. It just seems to kind of fit the character of Mojo, but I don't wouldn't quite call it a supreme dance move.
Hey Mojo, keep the dancing to our truth, okay? I'm just gonna leave it at that. Moving on here to the Intercontinental title match, we had The Miz taking on the challenger Sami Zayn. The good from this one, it was a strong performance from both competitors. Solid heel work from out of Miz, no surprise there. Lots of mimicking of Daniel Bryan, like with his kits, with the whole yes, thing and whatnot. Even Maurice got into it a little bit. Zayn made the crowd pop by hitting some pretty nice moves. He hit a pretty sweet moonsault from off the barricade and delivered a breathtaking somersault plancha and delivered a violent-looking Blue Thunder Bomb. So what else did you like in this one here, Dale?
Yeah, again, going back to the Miz's heel work in this and the constant nagging at Daniel Bryan, it's so interesting to me that WWE is playing this angle. Because we pretty much know that there's no chance Daniel Bryan ever wrestles again. So unless he's going to take on some GM roles to try to come back at the Miz, I don't really know what's the end game for this, though. But it is definitely,
can't figure that out either.
But you definitely have the good, it's like a little different of the authority aspect to the wrestler, as we had thought before, or as we've seen before, except for it's a little bit, you have the heel wrestler with the good authority this time. We're always used to it being the other direction, so.
It's exactly. Yeah. I don't know what to take away from that either, because we've had that conversation before. We actually brought it up even during Yay or Nay. We kind of debated back and forth about that. So it'll be interesting to see, if Daniel's going to possibly have somebody kind of stick up for him on his behalf to go up against The Miz. But I think it's kind of lame myself. Speaking of lame, the bad of this match definitely had to have been that horrible finish that was very reminiscent of the Montreal Screwjob. This time it was Maurice ringing the bell instead of the referee. Keying for the bell to be to run early like it was during the Hitman versus HBK match from '97. Dale, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just thought that it was very much trying to take a part of the '97 Survivor Series Montreal Screwjob and turn it into Toronto with just ring the bell and then cause Sammy to think he wins and then get the cheap roll up by the Miz for the 1, 2, 3. In the end, though, it's a great heel victory for the Miz, and he continues to absolutely dominate as a heel right now in the company. But the ways that he's kind of winning are just so cheap and bleh that you're like, well, it is getting over and doing what it's supposed to do, but I just wish that they wouldn't be so kind of repetitive and annoying at times.
Yeah, that pretty much means, hey, I feel the same exact way. I guess the man is doing his job, and so is Marie. She's doing her job well. But word to the wise here, for whoever keeps on rehashing this silly Montreal Screwjob angle. I say angle on because I still am not 100% convinced that was all, legit. Please, knock it off already. Once was more than enough. We don't need to see this angle rehashed. Just leave it alone, for Christ's sakes. And so let's talk about the ugly of this match. Maurice. What has happened to Maurice? She used to be such an attractive woman. Now she just looks absolutely hideous. What's the name of the evil woman from 101 Dalmatians, Dale?
Cruella de Vil.
That's the name. I kept on jogging my memory. I was trying to figure it out. That's who she looks like nowadays. With the pale skin and the really, dark, like almost black colored lipstick and that, almost Lady Gaga inspired outfit that she's wearing. I don't understand.
Yeah, she's just missing the broken Matt Hardy hair.
I like that one there. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, do you think they're trying to kind of match the look up that she has with the Miz or something? Is that what's going on here?
Well, she's got the because Miz is kind of rocking that dark blue with the silver, and that and Maurice's colors kind of match that, and definitely you can see that she's wearing the dark blue lipstick. But yeah. I don't know, dark blue lipstick just kind of, it does not look right.
It's a major turnoff. And I know I'm not Brazango or nothing like that. I'm not part of the fashion police. But look, I'm just saying. Anyhow here, let's move on to the Team Raw versus Team SmackDown women's match. So the good of this one here, I think you and I will both agree, we had the opportunity to actually cross paths with this young lady while she was working on the indie circuit out there in Nevada for Big Time Wrestling. Bayley, who was going by the name of Davina Rose at the time, you know, to see her make that jump from being out there in the Indies to NXT and then now to the main roster and actually debuting at the Survivor Series earlier this evening, and for her to get the win for Team Raw in her Survivor Series debut, that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's pretty cool. Wouldn't you agree with that, Dale?
Oh yeah, and I was like looking back on that just to kind of think that she's probably the biggest success that we have worked with, and we've worked with some talent that has been very successful. But just to think that she's now a main cog of the women's division on Monday Night Raw, it's very cool to just know that we had the opportunity to work with her before she really made it big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very cool to look back and think about that. If only I just would have been a little bit more gentler when I went to go shake her hand. And I want to squeeze her hand the way I did. I still feel like a jerk for doing that. But, yeah, there was definitely some solid action in this women's match here. I would take away the bad was I thought the teams were a bit lopsided. Even with the fact that they added Natty to the women's SmackDown team, didn't you kind of feel that the star power is pretty much all on the Raw side and that they also had the size advantage with having Nia Jax and Alicia Fox, who are a little bit larger size? What's your takeaway from that, Dale?
It definitely, the star power is with Raw. They eliminated Nikki, which is weird because obviously you feel a little bit different about it, but it's like she is the star power on SmackDown just because of the name recognition, because she has Total Divas, Total Bellas. The reality shows is like she's the star power for the SmackDown. It's like whatever you agree or disagree with her in-ring ability, she's the star power. She got eliminated. I'm not sure if maybe it was concern over her neck. That's kind of the angle that they were working. I hope not, just because she's kind of needed just in the name recognition for SmackDown to be there. So I hope that she didn't re-injure herself. But yeah, adding Natty from just being a coach to in the match itself doesn't really help. And really, I kind of just felt that Raw having Nia and wanting to make sure she was going to stay strong, I just felt like she had to be a huge factor in the match. She was, but ultimately ended up getting eliminated, and then it was Bayley that got the win. Kind of cool there. Got jumped by Charlotte, so maybe we're heading a little bit towards Bayley-Charlotte now, because I know we've gotten Bayley and Sasha, and I don't know if we're going to get that anymore. It's now time for Charlotte to move on to the next top face, and that is Bayley at the time.
Yep, I'm definitely looking forward for that, for her to get that opportunity. So, now, time for the ugly. Or in this case, shall I say uglies for this match, because there were a number of things that really stood out in a bad way. We had Alicia Fox, who botched her scissor kick attempt. You were the one who kind of put me onto that. Exactly what happened with that, Dale?
Well, she just went for the scissors kick elimination on Carmella, and it just kind of it was just sloppy looking. She's kind of very wild in how she does things. It kind of looks at times kind of out of control.
Yes.
And that's kind of what it looked like. She threw the scissors kick, and it just looked a little wild and not smooth and out of control. And she really didn't make much contact with Carmella. And Carmella goes down, and then that's the finish. Yeah,
and then we had Alexa and Becky crumbling under the massive weight of Nia Jax. It was almost kind of funny how, I mean, they went for, I think it was a double team suplex they were trying to attempt, I believe, right? And she just kind of just fell on both of them.
Yeah, they were trying for the double suplex, and they all just three fell over.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of when I had two friends who were way smaller than me trying to carry me home after a long night at the Beer Barrel out there in Nevada. And we took a spill. I'm serious. That's what that reminded me of. Anyhow here, also Nia Jax was involved in another moment that was quite ugly when she absolutely ragdolled Naomi and tossed her out to the floor. And Naomi was all sprawled out there on the floor, kind of like how Mickie James was last night in that dead person pose, where I think they just needed to get the chalk outline out, man. She was out, flat on her back. So anyhow, those are our thoughts, and this has been our recap for the 2016 Survivor Series pay-per-view. Dale, on the no gimmick scale, what do you give the show?
You know, I'm going to go with a 3. I've been critical and lower scores on some of the other pay-per-views. This one, I wasn't having much expectation for the main event, so it didn't live up to anything. But I wasn't expecting anything, so I don't really downgrade it for much. It's like I could have elevated a half a point or a full point had it been more than just the 4 moves. But I was coming in expecting Lesnar to be throwing around Goldberg. It didn't happen that way. It went kind of the opposite. Right. But I'm not going to downgrade it because Goldberg won. Because the match on itself, I wasn't expecting much. But the Team Raw, Team SmackDown men's match was phenomenal. Hour long. It was great. Had so many things for us to talk about. The Team Raw, Team SmackDown tag teams match was great. American Alpha looked good. Loved the stuff from Chad Gable. And obviously, like Cesaro and Sheamus going over, more so Cesaro because he's now in the forefront of a tag team title shot. Hopefully he becomes tag team champion again. Loved that what he had going with Tyson Kidd. Couple years back, unfortunately, Kidd got injured. So definitely glad to see Cesaro in chasing the title again. So definitely 3. I just I thought Survivor Series overall was entertaining.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to be a harsh grader on this one. My expectations were so low going into this show. I just said there's no way that it's going to top NXT TakeOver Toronto. So I was almost kind of on the same page as you. I wanted to give it a 3, but I'm sorry that I have to knock it down to a 2.5 out of 5 on the no gimmick scale. My reason being the obvious ones. The main event, that was a complete bust. For what little bit I at least expected that match, I expected it to at least go longer than about a minute. The other thing was, I thought the match between Kendrick and Kalisto was a bit of a disappointment, and the women's match definitely had its share of botches. I would say, the 2 matches that definitely stood out to us were the men's Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Also the tag team match. I really enjoyed all the action packed moments in both of those. And then I would say Miz and Zayn, it could have been very good, but they decided to end it with that BS finish, which was very reminiscent of the Montreal screw job. So yeah, for that I gotta go right down the middle and cut it in half and make it a 2.5 on the no gimmick scale. So that is it. That is our Survivor Series recap from 2016. Please visit our official YouTube channel. You can find us by searching the No Gimmicks Podcast YouTube on Google. If you would like to receive our notifications when we release our new episodes, please subscribe to us. We would also like to hear from our viewers, so please leave us some feedback in our comment section. Also, please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at the No Gimmicks PC. Be on the lookout for my updates on my personal LinkedIn account weekly, usually on Monday afternoons. And please remember that sharing is caring. Feel free to share the links to our episodes with other pro wrestling fans and on your social media accounts as well. That does it for this episode of the No Gimmicks Podcast. For my tag team partner Dale Clifford in Fernley, Nevada, this is Todd Smith in Bristol, Connecticut signing off. Until next time around, y'all take care.